Right, hi guys. Welcome to the latest episode of Cricket Draft Insight. I'm just going to try and do a One Day Cup squad selection live stream. I've just been trying to remind myself how on earth to do this. Okay, let's start with batters. I've had a lot of time to think about this. I have drafted a few teams and still can't make my mind up. But I think that's a familiar thing for most people, isn't it? This might not be the greatest example of Cricket Draft's website because my computer just can't handle multiple things going on at once. Right, Caleb Jewell, 9.7% is not idyllic, but obviously he's done really well. I think the 50 over format, he should do really well. I've had him in my squad across formats, just made the decision that I was going to go with him all season. Unfortunately, he's justified that selection. And then I'm on Carlson at the moment, and back to Carlson, one of those players I've gone sort of back to and from with in the county championship. Whenever I leave him out, he does well. I had him back in my team this week. He took some wickets actually, which is interesting for the One Day Cup because there's no Crane, there's no Kellaway. I was raving about Tom Bevan at one point, but if Carlson's taking wickets, he also 89. He finished 89 out, and I must admit I was just following like the scorecard at work, and it did that thing where I don't know if you ever get this. You're following a match and your players, and then you don't realize like the state of the game, and it's just like, what? Oh, it's ended. I was like, oh, he's not scoring 100, is he? So batter number 3 is an interesting one. I can't quite make my mind up because I actually have said Zen Malik a lot, who scored 100, and then just Josh Bohannon, one of my regulars, who's kind of the odd man out now because I've always had Jewell, Carlson, Hammond, and Bohannon, and because I've had Jewell this year, I've had to leave one out, and I started with Hammond out, and then Carlson, and now like Bohannon. Where am I? Wicket keeper. So I'm very keen on Tom Moores. So I'm putting him in as my wicket keeper. He has not been dismissed in single figures in the T20 Blast. He averages 38 with the bat in List A cricket. So a player underappreciated, but I remember seeing him in like the T10 and some warm-up games doing really well. Was it last year when I said he was going to play in the county championship and then he got dropped? Obviously, white ball specialist. I'm going to save occasionally as I go along. Now, just been communicating with one or two of you, so I really do want to get as close as possible to famous last words, guaranteed starters. Now, Yorkshire, I anticipate, they didn't play 2 spinners in this round of the county championship. Milnes, really good to see him in the Blast. He's not going to play every game, obviously. White Code, I expect a bit of rotation. You've got Hill, obviously Thompson's at the 100, isn't he? I'm still putting Ben Code in there. One Day Cup, maybe I shouldn't say this. One Day Cup does clash with my holiday, and I am going to try and avoid just like hiding in my room in France on my phone and actually interact with my wife's family, but and look after the kids and I was being pedantic there. I didn't really want Code there because I was going to put... Anyway, you'll see as I play around that I do get quite pedantic. The other thing is, so a couple of players I'm not going to pick are Asa Tribe and Matthew Montgomery because my wife is going to select a European 11, which she's going to do entirely by herself on her account without any help from me, and it will include the likes of Asa Tribe and Matthew Montgomery. Ned Leonard, really interesting one because I was disappointed that Gorvin wasn't playing at times, but Ned Leonard... Talk about upward trajectory players and often with batters, but he with the ball, has really come on, and I think he can bat a bit as well. And actually, in the One Day Cup, there's a chance he might get an opportunity at times. Who was the other bowler? Oh, I might have to go to my spreadsheet. Who's my other bowler? I want. Looked at it so many times and changed my mind. I'm having a mind blank. I can't remember who my other bowler is, which is a bit annoying. Right. Okay. So Ed Barnard. The story with Ed Barnard is I had him in my county. I've said this before numerous times. Had him in my county championship side when I first started playing. He did really well. He joined Warwickshire. He didn't start very well. I didn't pick him one day cup. He did really well one day cup. Then and I just didn't want to pick him because he did so well. He did really well in the one day cup again. I remember the first round last year thinking, well, that's me done because I didn't pick Ed Barnard. And then I've gone back to him in the county championship this year. I've been moaning about not having Ethan Brooks. Worcestershire don't play week 1. I don't think Warwick should play week 2. But this year in the county championship, I've had Higgins, I've had Barnard. And I said about Higgins being steady, not spectacular. He did well this week. And then I've had Zabe and Kellaway, so I couldn't really have had Brooks anyway. And Kellaway has been more consistent. Now Hill, because I'm thinking Benkenstein, Keogh, Steele, and I'm just having a complete mind blank about who is actually in my team. Well, actually, okay, here's a sensible way of figuring that out. Let's look all around us. Now, Rob Keogh, and I've just been drawn to my attention, actually, and I noticed Rob Keogh is in like no teams whatsoever. And obviously did just score 61 not out and has been bowling. Did really well in the One Day Cup a few years ago, and then they didn't play him much last year. Does he play all the time? Pretorius didn't play in the One Day Cup last year. I think he might have been South Africa A. Okay, Ben Green, who is, I'd say, slightly expensive, but he does have a curious, batting average, I think, based on one innings a bit back. Obviously, he's not at 100, which is interesting. So, yes, well, okay. Now, for a while, I said I was going to have Simon Fernandez as my reserve wicketkeeper, but I'm also thinking about having Joe Cracknell, but then it's like, well, do I need to bother? Cannot for the life of me remember who my other bowler was going to be. Okay. So, I've always thought Matt Dunn was a good bowler, and he's obviously had injury problems and one or two other things. If he plays, he's a very good player. So I'm going to put him in. The other one I was wondering about was James Minto. It'd be really good if he was given a run in the side, maybe even at 7. Now, because I'm mentioning sort of Bohannon, Malik, I really want Seacharan, and I do anticipate Seacharan starting. As keen as I was on Bevan, if Carlson's playing, obviously, and he is bowling, I can't go for Bevan. It's then just, am I a bit too loyal? Because I'm like, well, do I pick Bohannon if Malik does well? You can't just pick the same players, but I just go around in circles with the likes of Bohannon, maybe Carlson. Obviously, if I pick Fernandez rather than Cracknell, gives me more money. And the thing is, if I'm really taking it in, but if things are as they were suggested, it's mostly just a team plays once in a game week. So even captaincy, it's just one game, just 150 over. There's a few exceptions. But I just need to try and figure out who was going to be my over bowler, because I can't remember. And then I'll come to my all-rounders. Height of tech. Oh, Guthrie, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, completely forgot. Liam Guthrie. I don't see why he shouldn't do very well in the One Day Cup. hopefully the One Day Cup is an opportunity to get my career ranking up. I've got it up to about 108th. You know, it was about 178th at the start of the Big Bash. Can't remember what I was going to say, but yes, I didn't play, you know, the first year or so. I'm just being pedantic here, as I've mentioned before, in terms of whether I want it organised by batting order or whatever order I want it done. Can I make the screen bigger again? I don't know how clearly this is going to show. Right. I mean, there were other ones, batters, you know. I mentioned to people, other people mentioned to me about Tom Lammonby. You know, he's a curious one, isn't he? Right, what am I looking at? Now, normally I go for one sub in each position. There is, of course, an argument you don't need all-rounders. I'm just going to put Fernandez in there for now, but I'm tempted to go Cracknell. The other one is like Will Luxton, you know, just done this batter. This is the amazing thing about the One Day Cup. In the you know, all the players have gone to the 100, and yet you feel more spoilt for choice than ever. Right. One thing I would say about Simon Fernandez. Well, I was going to say, I think he starts, but I'd have to check off the top of my head. Is Adam Rossington at the 100? I don't know. Obviously, Pepper is. So, yes. Right. 26.8 mil. Okay. I'm sure I had somebody else. Right, so I'm going to put... See, I was going to go Benkenstein. I'm going to put Rob Keogh based on the fact he is bowling. He scored runs today. He is, when I checked not long ago, somebody mentioned, you know, people weren't in many teams. He was in 0.0% of teams, and he still is. So if he does well, that's points you're getting that nobody else is getting. And I am... Okay, this is not set in stone. I like Northamptonshire as well, just a few of their players. I find them an interesting team. I am going to... I see. Should I be picking George Hill, really? I'm not even sure Cameron Steele gets in the 11. But then do I pick Luxton? How many Yorkshire players do you want? Like Cameron Steele should be a good one-day cup player. But Surrey, you know, for a team that lose so many players to the 100, like they still have a good team. Well, is the bowling a bit weaker, but certainly batting. Like they still have to leave some good players out. Cameron Steele was in the squad for the county championship. He has been injured. He scored a 50, I think, in the opening round of the county championship. But he is known to have a bit of a shocker with the ball at times, isn't he? But then he still take wickets. I do just say this as I go along. You know, in case. Right, I really don't know who I... Oh, did I just have Brooks on the bench, even though they're not playing? Because it doesn't really matter, does it, at the moment? Because I'm still covered by other subs. Should be... I shouldn't say this on the internet, but I should be in France. Should have arrived and settled down. Although lunch in a traditional French household does normally clash with the start of these games, which I don't find very helpful. Zen Malik. Right, and I'm putting... Well, I'll put Brooks. I'll put Ethan Brooks. They don't play... They don't play week 1 or 2? I can't remember now. Oh dear. Excuse me, a bit tired. Have some water. Just mentions Henry Brooks there. A bit of an update on some Middlesex players who I thought had just been dropped. Henry Brooks not really set the world on fire at Middlesex, but did take some wickets in the second 11 the other day, is fit again. You know, maybe the one-day cup could be for him, but they got a lot of bowlers, haven't they, Middlesex? I don't know. Does Toby Rowland-Jones normally playing the one-day cup? Sharma, Morgan, like they've all managed to get slightly injured. Helm's obviously done well, but he'll be at the 100. Anyway, that is 15 players. I must have done something different there. 1.3 million, because I definitely had a squad that had 2 point. Did they have a different? Oh, I had Benkenstein instead of Brooks. I don't know if you can see that. Sorry, I'm just referring to my spreadsheet. I obviously. Sorry, if I don't sound very enthusiastic, it's just my computer and going up and down is not straightforward. Right. Really boring, but I am going to. Well, the other one I was thinking about was Dom Best. Because, you know, there's a few international players. So I'm going to put Barnard as captain, and I'm going to put Keogh as vice captain. Keogh is probably my 4th most selected player ever, but I haven't selected him this year. I selected Zabe in the county championship because I knew Keogh wasn't initially fit to bowl, and I thought Zabe would score quick runs and bowl a bit, and he did bowl a bit. But it was weird this week because obviously he took some wickets, and even though he's an all-rounder, it was a bit of a bonus. But obviously, what a selection he has been. But can't pick him in the One Day Cup. Right, so that's right. So that was 1.3 million left over. So Caleb Jewell, I followed him very closely in the winter. He was having a struggle, but then he fought back a bit, and how he's done well in England, and he'll be back next year. It's interesting. Obviously, lots of talk of the Australia A team at the moment. Curtis Patterson, etc. Jake Weatherald. You know, Caleb Jewell's not in there. His numbers were not amazing coming into this season. He's up them. Conversion rate's always been good, but he's been scoring runs. Carlson, I always regret it if I don't pick him, and I think he will take wickets too. Scores quick runs. I would have thought. Obviously, somebody North East wasn't available, was he? So we batted it free. So I think in in 50 over one day, you know, I don't think he'll be opening. And then Malik, I'm going to put Malik in there now. I mentioned Cracknell, didn't I? So there's a few spots here could change, namely Malik, Steele, and maybe somebody on the bench, maybe Fernandez. Barnard as captain. It has been speculated to me, like, is he going? There's a lot of options for Warwickshire, whether or not he opens, because they have Davis available as well as Yates. So is he going to open, you know, like he normally does, or does he drop down a bit? I put Rob Keogh in there because from a bowling perspective in the One Day Cup, well, he is their spinner, isn't he? Unless Heldreich's available. I did see some curious comment about Northamptonshire releasing someone, but I don't know specifics. I'll put Cameron Steele in there, but he's far from a guaranteed starter, so I might just have to look at which team start when. Although as well, I was going to say as long as I got a bowler on bench, but did I pick Brooks? And then if Dunn doesn't play, so actually I probably need to have somebody other than Brooks, don't I, just in case. Ben Green, going to be interesting to see how he gets on in 50 over cricket. Is he joining Leicestershire full time next season? Tom Moores, as well as he's done, and as well as his numbers are, if he comes in a bit earlier, and it's like not just smash it around, be interesting to see how he adapts. Ned Leonard done really well this year. Guthrie and Code. I just think it is very tough, particularly in bowlers, to find guaranteed starters, and there will be rotation. I know Tim van der Hooten's got injured for Glamorgan. I don't know the specifics of that. And then on the bench, the thing is, Citroen, if he does brilliantly, he's only on my bench. But come on, computer. I do like him. And then the problem is with Brooks, because they don't play week 1, but then is it Barnard? But he could come in for Barnard, couldn't he? Week 2. See what happens. Fernandez and Dunn, but I just suddenly got a vibe for Cracknell, when I mentioned Minto, this could change a bit, but that should be the core of the squad there. I mean, there's at least a couple good batters there. There's a few wickets there. Do these two play? And Green can bat now too. I think of bowling all around. He can bat. Like I say, he's got a big Monday 100. He had that stint, didn't he, a few years ago where he was opening in first class cricket. But anyway, that is that. That's my squad, isn't it? So you've got 10 days. 10 days to sort this out. Nope. Okay, so Ed Barnard is in 72.6%. Will Luxton is up there. Ian Holland, obviously, a favourite. I mean, this is early days. Tim van der Hooten, he got injured, so I don't know any specifics. Dan Douthwaite, George Hill, David Beddingham. There's a few batters, Masood, Harris. Just randomly, I mentioned my European 11 before. So Montgomery and Lion Cachet. I don't know if Lion Cachet likely to start, but those two are both listed as batters. You know, even a Lammonby maybe as a bowl. You know, Yates. You know, maybe take some wickets. Yuzvendra Chahal not quite set the world on fire, has he? Since being back at Northamptonshire. George Drissel, very much a player. You know, he did well in Zimbabwe, and he's done all right this year, hasn't he? Bat and ball. Don't know whether Puchek gets a go. Yeah, just interesting to see who some of these selected players are. Obviously, some of the cheaper ones often get in the squad. Ollie Robinson is available, but he's £8.4 million. Hanscom's not going to let you down. Jack Leach. You know, I like my alternatives, but if I was going a bit more mainstream, how does Vaughan go in 1 day? Does Davis keep wicket? Benkenstein hopefully gets a proper run. Robin Das, big series, big competition coming up for him. Sykes, fantastic opportunity if he bats high enough. But again, I said about, because Surrey have Sibley, Burns and Patel play. So Sykes, Steele, Folkes, Blake. I mean, my goodness, Crowcombe could do all right. I'm not sure Harry Swindles gets in the Leicestershire team. Andy Umeed, who is a little, I wonder whether that should be closer to 7. He does average north of 50, average 80 odd that great year, but he backed it up last year, 50. Brace is a popular one. Ackerman is an all-rounder. So, yeah. Anyway, there is my team. Let me know what you think. Let me know who is in your team. I haven't done very well in a T20 Blast. I may have told you I'm doing okay in the county championship. Sorry, I would show you my full team if I could get my computer to cooperate. This is subject to change, okay? But about a quarter of this team is definitely subject to change. Play around with it a bit on my phone. But yeah, okay. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the One Day Cup. Hope you do well in the next round of the county championship. Oh my goodness, 25 minutes. Thank you very much for watching. How's that?